Welcome to this month's episode of the Fans Guide to Animation podcast. I am Daniel. This is Anthony. This is a very... I'm not going to let you talk yet. This is a very special episode for me. This is the Pokemon episode.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
Pokemon is a big deal for me and in my childhood, and it's still a big deal for me. So
I could tell.
Get ready.
Enthusiasm.
Yes, I am. So yeah, the Detective Pikachu movie just came out, and we thought that was a good opportunity. Well, the movie's already like animated, kind of.
It's
like
a hybrid.
It's one of the hybrid movies.
Yeah, it's hybrid.
So it was worth talking about anyway. But like Pokemon is kind of like our age range. Like when we were young was when it came out. Pokemania, as they like to call it. I hate saying that because it's stupid. But that's when it was around.
Adults and their phrases.
Yeah, so the games originally came out in Japan in 1996, and then they made their way here in 1998. When the game came out is almost exactly around when the show came out. So that was like, I think, September 8th, 1998, which was the day before my birthday, which would explain a lot.
Oh my god.
But yeah, the anime was a big deal back then. Yeah, I remember seeing... I saw for at least 5 years. First 5-ish seasons until they got into like Diamond and Pearl and all of that, and then I stopped.
That's gibberish to me. So I didn't even get that far.
Yeah. There'll be some things that if you don't know what Pokemon really is, there's a lot of words and names that are going to be thrown around that you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Just a lot of good
It's
stuff.
going to be a lot of information.
It's a lot.
So the anime, if you've never seen it, pretty much follows the storyline of the games. So basically the games are you play a Pokemon trainer, you catch little animals called Pokemon, and you make them fight each other for your entertainment. And then you go from city to city fighting gym leaders, what they call gym leaders. And then once you finish fighting 8 of them, then you fight 4 of them. And then once you finish fighting 4 of them, you fight 1 of them. And then when you finally beat him, then you become the champion and you win the game. So yeah, that's
so many hours of frustration.
So that's basically what the beginning of the anime was about. Like Ash Ketchum, who is the main character in the anime, the catchphrase or like the tagline for the brand, I guess, in America was "Gotta catch 'em all," so they named him Ash Ketchum, which I guess they thought was cute. But yeah, in Japanese, his name is Satoshi.
Whoa.
So it's not even a translation; they made it up. But yeah, the actual creator of Pokemon, like the game, his name is Satoshi, so that's why they named him that. But
that makes sense.
But then America was like, "Nah, that's stupid."
And I'm proud to be an American.
Anyway.
I did not know that actually. That's just new facts that I had not known before.
Neat little fact for you. I rewatched the first episode of the anime like, I don't know, a couple hours ago actually. In general, from what I remember from the anime, I don't want to say it was like great. There were definitely cringy, very campy moments.
I think the biggest cringe moment that I can remember, this is all purely from nostalgia. I've seen clips of the stuff before we did the podcast. It's cringy. It's very just dumb, campy humor that just really didn't make a lot of sense.
Identify this Pokemon.
It's a Voltorb!
Ah, how simple. It's a Pokeball without a doubt.
Obviously, it's an Electrode.
And the answer is a Jigglypuff seen from above.
And I guess I remember I found it kind of funny as a kid. I didn't laugh. I don't know if I remember laughing out loud, but I remember I thought, man, this is funny, and I chuckled here or there as a kid.
The main reason I usually watch the show, and I still sometimes will look up clips, like admittedly, yes, sometimes I'll look up Pokemon stuff, but for like the battles and like the gym battles, or like whenever he went to like one of those championship things, those are actually like my favorite parts, when he was like fighting one person and the whole episode was basically a Pokemon battle.
Yeah, that was like probably because there was some legit action and
yeah, it was
tension
fun to
and-
watch. And because like since I was a fan of the games, and you played the first couple games, right?
Yeah, the farthest I went was all the way. It was just the gold and silver editions of the game.
Yeah,
I don't remember what that sparkly blue one was after that.
Crystal.
I don't know if it was. You know what?
No, I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's Crystal.
Okay,
I know
okay.
about Pokemon. It was Crystal. But yeah, the when you're playing the games, it's not like super animated or anything. It's just like your Pokemon and then the other Pokemon on the other side, and it kind of like, I don't know, throws a fireball and then that's it. But yeah, that's why I liked all of the like Pokemon battles in the show, because all of that actually like you had to make up in your head, kind of like
Pretty much,
what this battle
yeah.
actually would be like if it was in real life,
Yeah.
and it's exciting.
That and you
Um,
actually cared about some of these Pokemon, even though, of course, all they can say, in case if you didn't happen to know, that these Pokemon can only say their names.
Pikachu. I'll play.
I didn't play that much of the games compared to you, but I do know so many wonderful hours spent frustrated wanting to chuck my Game Boy. But yeah, many good hours spent having fun and being a kid and trying to catch as many Pokemon and some of
Yeah.
your favorites from the show. We originally
And then-
had 150, and now what is there like?
151. is the
Now there's
original.
what, like 800 of them now or something?
Almost, yeah.
Oh Jesus! Okay.
About something like that. I forget the
Uh,
number.
That's just such a long time ago. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Long time.
But yeah, who's your favorite Pokemon?
oh my god. You know what's funny is that I always ended up having like for sure I always liked Charmander.
It's Charmander.
I don't know. Just he was kind of like as he evolved in the show, he was kind of an asshole. but just
Yeah, the original Charmander wasn't really around very long.
yeah, he wasn't, and which was kind of a bummer because I thought he was like a fun little Pokemon. He was
Yeah,
just
it's cute.
happy, and he's a little dinosaur with a little flame at the end. He was able to do fire attacks, and I don't know, there was something about the little character that I liked, and he was my starter Pokemon. But I think my runner-up, honestly, would be, again, it's just like the aesthetic. I like the design to it. A Vulpix, and I like the name of it too. Vulpix, such a funny little sounding word.
It's Vulpix.
I don't know. That was just another cool little Pokemon that I liked, and of course Pikachu. Who doesn't love Pikachu?
Yeah, who doesn't love Pikachu?
But I
Pikachu's
feel
great.
that's kind of like the stale answer. Like by this point,
Yeah,
like
it's
who
kinda
doesn't love
redundant,
Pikachu?
yeah.
And if you don't like Pikachu, then you're just
And you're racist.
I don't know how you're
I
racist.
don't know how you're racist, but you're racist if you don't like Pikachu. Mine is actually, I would probably say Bulbasaur.
It's Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur.
He's just different than the other two. Just because the other two are like standing up, and he's just like on all four legs, and he's like a little,
He's
a
essentially
weird
like-
little toad.
Yeah, he's like a
Um,
little frog character.
Yeah, he's like a little cabbage puppy.
cabbage puppy.
He's a little cabbage puppy. But yeah, in the show, he even had like
Just
he
like
just had a little attitude. He wasn't like an asshole like Charizard was, but
yeah.
like he was always the tough guy.
That was another thing too. Like he never evolved them actually.
Yeah,
It was
like, there
only
was one
Charmander that
that-
just kind of. I don't remember how that went down when he evolved to Charmeleon, but
Yeah, I don't remember either.
but he was the only one that evolved, and then Squirtle and Bulbasaur stayed the same for that.
Yeah,
entire
there was
run.
there was
didn't
there was an
evolve
episode
anything.
where Bulbasaur was about to evolve into an Ivysaur, but he forced himself to not evolve.
Not today, Satan.
So yeah,
Same with
Bulbasaur is a little badass, and I like him because he's also cute. And coughing.
It's coughing.
Coffee.
I just like coughing because he has a dumb face. He's got like my roommate used to have I used to have a roommate and he had a corgi, and he's one of those dogs that always like when he looked at you always had like a smile on his face, like no matter what. So that's what coughing reminds me of. He was like a dumb dog. There's like always a smile on his face, and like no matter what.
Except when he evolved to Wheezing. Then he
Yeah,
just
I'm not a
seems
huge fan
sad.
of wheezing. So yeah, like I said, I watched the first episode, and even though we talked a little bit of shit about the anime, the first episode was actually, I like the first episode. It doesn't have as much of the annoying Ash parts as a lot of the other anime does, because Ash is just a straight up idiot for most of it, even though he's like 10. So yeah, I get it, he's dumb.
But forest Pokemon, rat-tat-tat. It likes cheese, nuts, fruits, and berries.
Yeah, but this isn't a forest. It's an open field.
It also comes out into open fields to steal food from stupid travelers.
That means I'm stupid?
So the episode is basically him just starting out on his journey or whatever. He just turned 10, and in the Pokemon world, when you turn 10, you can just go out on your own and be a homeless person, essentially.
Are you a hobo?
But yeah, so he wakes up late in the morning. So when he gets to Professor Oak is the guy. He's the guy who gives the kids the Pokemon. He doesn't have the chance to get a Bulbasaur or Charmander or Squirtle because they were taken already because he got there late. And the only one left is the Pikachu. And the Pikachu is temperamental. He's also an asshole.
Pikachu.
Its name is Pikachu.
Oh, it's so cute. It's the best of all.
You'll see.
Oh, hi, Pikachu. Pika.
It's also known as Electric Mouse. It's usually shy, but can sometimes have an electrifying personality.
I see what you mean.
Shocking, isn't it?
Later on, while he's trying to catch a Pidgey's a pigeon. A pigeon Pokemon. I'm going to have to keep doing this. He hits a Spearow, which is basically an evil version of a Pidgey. And then an entire flock of them come out and they start attacking them. And then Pikachu gets injured. And then Ash has to
And that's where you have that little compassionate moment that kind of built for the rest of the show. It feels like.
Yeah. So...
I do remember that fondly. He's just like, oh man, this kid is like falling all over the place, going in the rain, just trying to get to a nurse's office.
Yeah, and Pikachu was like, they're like
he's
injured, he couldn't
dying.
move. Yeah, he's
like,
dying. All the Spearows like come and like Ash uses his body as like a shield.
Spearows, do you know who I am? I'm Ash from the town of Pallet. I'm destined to be the world's #1 Pokemon Master. I can't be defeated by the likes of you. I'm going to capture and defeat you all. You hear me? Pikachu, go inside the Pokeball. It's the only way. Come and get me!
It's like slow-mo motion moment where like Pikachu, like you can see he realizes, oh my god, he's, I don't know, like I like him now or something. And he comes up and he Thundershocks all Thundershock.
Well, didn't the
Thundershock is a move.
hit him though, right?
But yeah, he shocked like all of the Spearow, and he saved Ash, and that's how it ends. It ends after that. The rain clears up, and that's when he sees the Ho-Oh, the legendary Pokemon fly across the sky, which at the time wasn't a Pokemon that had been revealed yet. It wasn't until years later that we actually learned out what that Pokemon was. So that was like a nice, kind of like cool little mystery, and it was like a nice way to end
the episode. So many years of wondering who the fuck that was.
Yeah, because he wasn't in the original 151. I almost wish they never like identified that Pokemon, so that way it would always be a mystery. But anyway, yeah, it kind of ended on that like nice moment of like Ash seeing this like really cool thing that happened, and then him and Pikachu now being cool with each other, and then them going off on their journey for the rest of their lives together is kind of, I don't know, it was nice.
Oh, that's nice.
So the anime started in 98, and the next year is when the movie came out. Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. Long title, but
I don't even remember the Mewtwo Strikes Back being promoted.
Well, if we're gonna get technical about it,
I thought Mewtwo Strikes Back was a sequel.
Mewtwo Strikes Back is the name of the part after Ash comes into the story, and then the pre them explaining like Mewtwo's origin was kind of its own like short movie, and then
that's why
the American movie they combined the two, and then they made it Pokemon the first movie. So yeah, I watched a version where they had the extended like first part of the movie with the Mewtwo's backstory, because in the theatrical version, I remember it only being like 10 minutes long. But when I rewatched it a couple nights ago, it was actually like half an hour long, and it had like stuff in it that I didn't remember at all. So Mewtwo is a clone of Mew. That's why he's called Mewtwo. Mew being like the missing link of all Pokemon. Like every Pokemon apparently
they just kind of dubbed it like the ancient Pokemon or something.
Yeah, apparently every Pokemon has like a little bit of Mew's DNA in it or something.
Considering he just looks like a little pink mouse.
Yeah, it's not that impressive looking, but it's
I remember
pretty important to the whole Pokemon.
Like, just, that was like the competition to Mew too, because he's just like, yeah, he's a clone, but he's just like, but no, I'm better than you.
So Mewtwo's a clone, and he was created in a lab.
I was working in the lab late one night.
By Team Rocket scientists, Team Rocket being the bad guys, because they wanted to create the strongest Pokemon in the world, which they did. But then once he became powerful enough, he kind of realized that he was a clone, and that he realized what was going on. He's a psychic Pokemon, by the way, so he can...
Yeah, because Mew's a psychic Pokemon.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So he can move stuff with his mind, and he can use telepathy and all that.
So I am simply the end result of your experiment. What becomes of me now that your experiment is over?
Oh, our experiment isn't over yet. It's just beginning. Now the serious testing begins.
These humans, they care nothing for me.
So yeah, he breaks out and then he destroys the lab and he kills everyone in it. Even though they don't say that, he definitely kills everybody.
We dreamed of creating the world's strongest Pokemon. And we succeeded.
Yeah, and then after that, the movie kind of officially starts. The animation in the movie is better than the anime. The animation wasn't super great in the beginning. Probably the best thing in the movie is when it first starts and then you see Ash having like a battle with some random guy. But then they have like a remixed version of the theme song and it gets you like super pumped because you're like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah. Yeah, and then the rest of the movie isn't like that. So, if you can't tell my tone of voice, that I don't think the movie is all that good. It does have its moments, which we'll talk about a little later. But yeah, so Ash gets, and a bunch of people actually, a bunch of trainers, they get an invitation from somebody who calls themselves the strongest trainer in the world.
You have been chosen to join a select group of Pokemon trainers at a special gathering. It will be hosted by my master, the world's greatest Pokemon trainer.
He doesn't really they don't really question it. They're just like, okay.
I like how everybody just kind of says, yeah, sure, we'll go in the van and get some candy.
So yeah, they're invited to this island called New Island, which is the laziest name for an island.
I wanted to go to Old Island.
Yeah. So yeah, this part is the dumbest part in the movie, but they're like on a pier and since it's on an island, they have to like somehow swim there or something. And there's like a storm happening, so there's no boats going out. This is when Team Rocket comes in. Team Rocket disguises themselves as Vikings.
Yep,
you remember this part?
Yep, I think I do.
And then they put on like a Norse accent.
God, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me now.
Oh man! And then Brock makes Brock and Misty are the people that are traveling around with Ash. By the way, Brock makes a comment that, "Oh, I didn't know Vikings were from around here."
I remember this line all too damn well.
And then Ash says,
"Oh my god,
I didn't know Vikings still existed."
They mostly live in Minnesota.
You can't see it right now, folks. I'm just slapping the fuck out of my head right now.
They made a Minnesota Vikings joke in a Pokemon movie. That's a football team from America.
I remember that line way too well, and even as a kid, I'm just like, what?
Anyway, so yeah, all the trainers get to the island, and on the island is this big, weird castle, which is almost like a H.R. Giger, like alien style, like biomechanical thing. It's very strange choice for a Pokemon movie. But yeah, so they get there, and it turns out that the greatest Pokemon trainer in the world is also the world's strongest Pokemon.
Who are you? I am the new ruler of this world, the master of humans and Pokemon alike.
You're just a bully! Pika!
They challenge him to like a battle, which he has.
That
Pokemon?
did not go well.
Yeah. So he has his own like Pokemon. He has clones, and he uses those to fight the versions of those Pokemon are from the trainers. I don't know if that made any sense. But anyway, the clones that he made are stronger than the original ones. I don't know. He gets into this monologue where he talks about hating humanity and then hating the Pokemon for following the humans.
So you hate all humans, and you're gonna destroy us to save Pokemon?
No. Your Pokemon will not be spared. They have disgraced themselves by serving humans. Those Pokemon are nothing but slaves.
So I guess he
it's
wants
actually
to...
a pretty deep concept for a Pokemon movie.
Yeah, so he's angry at everybody, but I don't know what he wants to do about it. It doesn't seem like he wants to like destroy the whole world or anything. It just seems like
he's just really mad.
He's just angry and wants to take it out on somebody. Yeah, he starts capturing all of their Pokemon, and then he clones all of them. One thing leads to another, and the cloned Pokemon and the real Pokemon that he had already captured, they all break out. So there's this giant like army of the real Pokemon, and there's a giant army of clone Pokemon. This is when Mew pops in. The actual original Mew is just kind of around, I guess.
It literally just floats around and it's just like, Mew.
I may have been cloned from your DNA, but now I will prove that Mewtwo is better than the original. Superior to Mew.
It doesn't really want to fight or anything, and Mewtwo essentially challenges Mew to a fight in order to prove that he is better and that clones are better than the original Pokemon, even though like he's
kind of defeating his own
agenda. He's a clone and he doesn't like being a clone. That's why all of this happened, so he makes more clones.
Right.
At that point, when all the Pokemon start, the clones fighting the originals, and Mew and Mewtwo just having an air battle throughout that whole situation,
which was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good action for the
yeah.
for the most part,
they were like commenting like, "Oh, this is stupid," but they were like, "Pokemon shouldn't fight," and then you're like,
this really serious moment. I remember
and then you're
that.
like, "But that's like it's the whole point of the game, isn't it?"
Pokemon aren't meant to fight. Not like this. It's useless. What can come out of it?
Nothing but pain.
I guess they're trying to say like this shouldn't really be lost. Like you shouldn't be fighting without like a purpose. I guess they did do a good job of like showing the Pokemon.
They looked
like,
exhausted.
Like fighting each other. Like didn't really seem like they wanted to, but they were like fighting each other until they were until they were so tired and exhausted that they started falling over each other.
I remember Pikachu
which was sad, which was really sad. Yeah, there was a clone of Pikachu,
where he's just like Pikachu.
And the original Ash's Pikachu refused to fight the clone Pikachu, so the clone Pikachu would kind of like just beat up Pikachu, and like you could tell like he didn't want to anymore because Pikachu wasn't fighting back. And he started slapping him, and then he like started like you could see like the tears in his eyes coming out, and it was so sad. This whole part is so sad.
They shouldn't have had any of the dialogue and just let that whole scene play out.
Yeah,
the humans shut up. Like let the Pokemon show. That was where I remember some of the heartfelt moments where it's just like, yeah, this is bad. Fighting bad. Like
we haven't gotten to the best part.
I know. I'm waiting for it. I remember this part as well.
So
in the theater, I remember it so well.
So they're fighting, and Mewtwo and Mew are
still fighting off
still
air
at
somewhere.
it. And then Ash comes in and he's yelling like, "I gotta stop the fighting! Everybody stop!" He runs in the middle of like the battlefield. And Mewtwo and Mew are like charging up like their psychic attack things, and then they shoot it at each other. But Ash like right at the right moment, he runs like right into the middle of it, and then they like hit him with it, and there's like an explosion, and there's a bunch of dust.
Ash, wait!
You gotta stop right now!
Oh no!
And then Ash falls on the floor, and then he slowly starts turning to stone, which is something which I don't know why. It's kind of weirdly magical, even though this is Pokemon. It's like it doesn't really quite mesh with the universe that they're in. But anyway, he turns to stone.
It's such a bizarre thing to happen. You
Yeah.
thought he would just get really hurt or something.
Or
die.
But yeah, so he's solid rock now. And his little partner Pikachu comes over and tries to wake him up. And he doesn't wake up because he's stone. And then Pikachu starts shocking him. It still doesn't work. And then he keeps doing it. And then every time he does it, you hear him, like you can hear in his little Pikachu voice, him getting like more desperate. And then he stops, and then you see like the tears in his eyes. And then you can tell like he just realized that his best friend just died.
Please, no.
It's such a darkly funny thing.
Every time I see that scene, like literally every time, like I shed like a tear or two because it's so sad.
It's so sad, and here, look, I'm gonna sound like a complete...
I'm like talking about it now, and I'm tearing up a little bit.
Yeah, you're like no, but you know what's? It's funny because it's so out of left field. Here, like this is while you gather yourself here, it wasn't until much later in my life I developed a dry sense of humor, a darker sense of humor, whatever. I remember as a kid, I found it so odd. I thought he was gonna die just on impact. I thought that's what that was implying, but like for whatever reason, like it's such a bizarre moment where he turns to stone. I remember as a kid, I laughed out loud.
Oh God!
How could you be so heartless?
Because it just like I thought the idea of it was so weird. Like, why did he turn to stone? I was baffled as a kid. Like, I literally laughed out. I was I know I sounded probably like an asshole, and I laughed out loud.
You're the worst 10-year-old.
And of course, the theater went quiet because that's when I did feel the sadness real quick. Because that moment where Pikachu just tried.
Yeah, it's not that Ash turned to stone is the sad part. It's the Pikachu. You can tell like
that's where the emotion came from.
They really successfully conveyed that Pikachu
understood his friend is dead.
Was going through something, and he had this huge loss, and it was so tragic.
To me, that's like one of those moments, like in a movie or a television show, where you have someone like on one of those classic situations of someone on their deathbed, and they're doing the whole heart, just looking at the heart monitor, and that whole rush moment where everyone's just trying to use a defibrillator and just chucking along and trying. And then that moment where you finally know they're gone. That's essentially what Pikachu was, a defibrillator, just shocking. And I remember the whole theater going quiet, and I went quiet pretty quick after I was the stupid kid that laughed because of how absurd he became stone. But as soon as you realize, wait, no, he's like a rock now. He's not alive anymore. Oh my God. And I felt like an asshole for laughing. But it was such a bizarre thing that led to such a sincere and probably the best part of the movie showing this very brief but powerful moment of sincerity from a little creature that was trying to shock his best friend to life again and not being able to do that.
Props to the voice actress for being able to pull off that amount of emotion with just one word.
Can you imagine reading the script for that too? Just like, okay, you have to say just Pikachu, but convey this amount of emotion realizing your best friend is dead. That is amazing acting, and the actress deserves every prop in the world for that. That
to be in a kids movie is so kind of messed up.
Just a little.
But it's like still to this day, one of the saddest moments I've ever seen in the history of any movie I've ever seen.
That could definitely be up there.
Yeah, it didn't seem gratuitous. Like they just put
felt
it in
very
there.
genuine.
Yeah, it felt kind of earned, I guess you could say.
And the more of the lesson was learned, this kind of fighting needs to stop. This senseless violence.
After Pikachu starts crying, all the Pokemon start crying. And then their tears... This is when it starts getting ridiculous again. Their tears float over to Ash. and he somehow magically becomes human again.
That's a wonderful sentiment, but what?
Yeah,
Like, it's-
yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, that's when Mewtwo has another one was like profound, like
The human sacrificed himself to save the Pokemon. I pitted them against each other, but not until they set aside their differences did I see the true power they all shared deep inside. I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
Mewtwo is very wise in this movie. And actually the voice actor who does Mewtwo actually does a pretty good job. But yeah, after that, Mewtwo and Mew make up, and then they like take all of the clone Pokemon and then they fly off into the sky and they go somewhere. Who knows
where?
Yeah. And Mewtwo, yeah, you're right. I hate when movies do this, but he erases all of their memories. So it's like nothing even happened. This whole, lesson everybody learned in this whole big deal that this movie was supposed to be, he just immediately made it basically non-canon.
I can't believe you've done this.
So that was that movie.
At the end of the day, I had my Pokemon card, so...
Yeah.
Like, when they gave Pokemon cards at the premieres of these things...
Yeah. They
I remember I got Pikachu, and my brother got Dragonite.
Well, Mailman Dragonite. And then there was a Mewtwo, and then there was a...
There was also... I thought there was a Mew also, wasn't there?
No, the Ancient Mew came with the second movie.
Ah, there we go. That's what it was.
Yeah, because that was a part of the actual story.
Yeah, there we go.
The second movie, Pokemon 2000, is...
That didn't date the movie at all.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I think the original title was like The Call of Lugia or something like that. I don't know.
That would have made more sense.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. But yeah, the second movie, I'm only going to talk about it briefly. But it's much better than the first movie. It actually has a coherent story.
Sadly, I did not get to revisit this, so...
It holds up pretty well. So yeah, I rewatched that one too, and
I remember listening to the CD soundtrack.
The soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
Even though it's like real cheesy, and
it is.
Has a Weird Al the polka rap.
Yes, the
Pokemon.
Yes,
Pokemon, and he does a
polka
version of
that was great. I remember listening to that
of all the Pokemon names in it.
It's time to polka or pony time.
And yeah, it talks about the 3 legendary birds, and it has a reason for them to be there. They're like controlling, or they keep like the earth in balance, and without them, like the weather and all of that would go out of whack. So there's this guy who's trying to collect them, and then when he does, everything starts going out of whack a little bit. So they have to try and break him free and get him back, but the birds already don't like each other, so they start fighting. And the only one that could stop them is Lugia, who is from the second games, who is kind of a big deal. So yeah, Lugia comes around, and Ash and all of them, they stop them, and everything's great. But yeah, there's like a sense of like lore to it, because yeah, there's this whole like mythos behind all of this stuff. Like there's a whole island that like it's basically Hawaii, and they have all these legends surrounding the birds, and then Lugia, and then they have this like little prophecy thing.
Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning, lest these titans wreak destruction upon the world in which they clash. Though the water's great guardian shall arise to quell the fighting, alone its song will fail, thus the earth shall turn to ash.
There's this like part where she like plays this little flute. It's actually fully orchestrated now, and it like kind of feels epic, like what a movie should feel like. It's good. If you're going to pick any Pokemon movie to actually see, I would choose Pokemon 2000 because it's pretty entertaining. And yeah, after that, there's been at least, I'd say like one a year almost. Most of the movies are pretty bad. There are some little hidden gems here and there, but fast forward to Detective Pikachu. It is based on a game called Detective Pikachu, which only came out like 5 years ago. It's not that old of a game. When I was a kid, I wanted a live action Pokemon movie. Now that we have it, this wasn't necessarily like what I envisioned them making
Far from it.
as a live action Pokemon movie. But I'm glad they went in the direction that they did, because actually it is a pretty interesting movie. You kind of forget that it's a Pokemon movie, and you kind of just accept that it's a movie.
Which could be a negative for some people.
Yeah. There's Pokemon stuff around, and yes, Pokemon are characters, but it's not super... It doesn't like shove it in your face all the time.
That, and it doesn't focus on anybody saying, yeah, I want to be the very best.
No one ever was.
Yeah, they tried to make it
Get
almost...
badges and stuff. You know,
They almost tried to make it as different from the universe as they could, while still having Pokemon in it. So it takes place in a city called Rhyme City, and the city is different than all other cities in the Pokemon universe because they don't keep their Pokemon in Pokeballs, and they don't battle them. They just kind of like work together in harmony. And
Snorlax just chilling in the middle of the street.
Snorlax fucking owns you.
I'm a champ just directing traffic.
Yeah. So the story focuses on a guy named Tim. Tim is an accountant, and his dad, who was a detective, just died recently. It was a car accident, but the circumstances behind why that car accident happened are mysterious.
Jinkies, 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 jinkies.
So, a Pikachu comes into his life, and it is Detective Pikachu. He can talk.
Did you just talk? Whoa. Did you just understand me? Wait. That is heavy eye contact right there. You heard me.
No.
Yes, you did.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
You can understand me. Stop. I've been so lonely.
He can't talk, but Tim can understand him. Don't really get an explanation why that is. You're just gonna have to accept it.
And from there,
Pikachu is also voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that's another thing where I guess we all didn't really expect. Like, if you would have told this to us, heck, even just 5 years ago, would have been like, oh, there's a Pokemon movie in production? Who would even star in something like that? And they're like, oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie?
Mm-hmm. At first it was a really weird choice. I wasn't necessarily 100% behind it when I heard about it.
The very first trailer or teaser trailer was just like, okay, it's clearly just Ryan Reynolds as usual being Ryan Reynolds. Okay, that's fine.
And then when they got that trailer with the hero song.
All right, here it is. Harry faked his own death, or somebody else faked Harry's death. Or Harry faked somebody else's death. That last one doesn't work at all.
Yeah, that's.
Then I was like, okay, yeah, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the whole thing. Oh wait, they didn't even play that in the movie, did they?
No, they didn't.
I would have wanted that because that's what kind of hooked me too with that trailer.
No,
that's not.
That's a great trailer. That's a great trailer. Yeah, but yeah, the movie was good.
It's I put this out there in my written review after we saw it. It was low key, like, you know, this whole thing was like a low key thing that I've wanted for so long that I kind of forgot I wanted it. And when we got it, it was just like, well, this is definitely different than what any of our 10-year-old brains could have thought of when this was like at its peak popularity. And it's just a weird concept that they put together, and it's funny, it's weird, I don't know, it's a good time at the movies.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's just a fun movie.
It's a lot of fun.
It's got a solid enough mystery to it and noir feel to it that you're just like, okay, that's something for the adults right there. And,
yeah, there's a lot of
it's surprisingly like adults
snooping around. You would think that the main characters and all of that would be kids, but they're people in their 20s. Yeah, I guess they kind of aged.
Honestly, they kind of did look like they were like high school kids, though. I thought that's what it was.
I think it's supposed to be like early 20s. But yeah, and like a lot of the humor is actually a little adult, at least at sometimes it's almost very adult. There was one point where there was a Mr. Mime, Yeah, he mimed like sitting down on a chair.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And he crossed his legs, kind of like Sharon Stone in Basic
Yeah,
Instinct.
that's something where you don't think to see that in a Pokemon movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised they
got
let
away
them,
with that.
They let them do as much as they did with the Pokemon franchise, considering it's mainly for children.
I mean, they put PG for a reason.
But they definitely knew that their audience was going to be mostly like people who grew up with it, and
Basically,
they're adults now.
Basically our age.
Yeah,
like
basically
late
our age
20s
now.
or early 30s by now. So another one that I just thought was like when I first saw it in the trailer, I'm like, it's such a not swear word, but at the same time, it's just like when they're stuck in a moment in the film where they're in a cage match essentially, trying to prove some of these. There's drugs in this movie essentially. Forgot to mention that.
PCP, LSD, Dilaudid, mescaline, mushrooms, bath salts, cortisone, Toradol. I got Molly, I got her sister Sandra, I got Big Frank, I got birth control, I got Plan B.
They're trying to, of course, in this particular moment, it's like a life or death situation for Pikachu because he's going up against the damn Charizard hocked up on these drugs.
Which that Charizard looked cool.
Yeah, he did look awesome.
He looked pretty great.
Yeah, and he just exclaims, he's just like,
Get me the hell out of here!
That's not really a swear word by any stretch of the imagination, especially these days. But the word hell coming out of a Pikachu, I didn't know what to feel with that, and then when it kept going and there was more...
I think it was like, I don't know, they're just like trying to mess with your expectations. Like, oh, he's cute, but he's as dirty, he says naughty things sometimes. Which I think was the whole appeal.
They hung out at a bar for a minute.
Yeah, Pikachu frequents a bar.
Where everybody knows your name.
I kind of wish they would have just went full PG-13, to be honest, if they were going to... But I don't think that would have landed if some people would have said shit or something every so often.
Yeah, I think that would have been a little bit too much. Yeah. But yeah, that whole battle scene was pretty fun. You got to see Charizard and a Blastoise and a Gengar. Too. Yeah, that
Gengar was creepy as fuck though.
Yeah, as he should have been.
From there, I mean, they kind of figure out more clues to figuring out the mystery of course, that his father, Tim's father, may not be dead after all. And there is this supposed plan involving a Mewtwo, the whole Mewtwo thing. Again, man, they really love to make Mewtwo an experiment or just really, really just like a center of like a plot of some kind. That's the only...
No, he's a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal.
You see, them going back to the lab where a lot of the whole movie really started. And from there, they see that, Tim's father was kind of there before everything went to heck, and just
he was involved in this
even more questions as to why, and pushing more of like, well, maybe that's why he disappeared, since he was kind of involved with the Mewtwo situation, and there's just like more
it's framed
more questions.
Yeah, it's framed where you could kind of think that Mewtwo might be the big bad of the movie. You can put two and two together and figure out, it's deeper than that. The whole Mewtwo inclusion thing was, I actually kind of liked it. I would have.
I like the way they went with it because, to be honest, how it started with him escaping and everything, I felt that was very reminiscent of Pokemon the first movie. Like it felt a little too similar.
You could tell that they took a little bit of inspiration from
which was good, but it was almost
a bit of a nod.
The technology where he was being held in, he was in a little pod and everything. I'm like,
well, they did mention that in the movie that he 20 years ago he had broken out of like an experimental thing, and he went on a rampage or something like that. So it was vaguely referencing the first movie.
Oh God!
As
so
if it
canon?
as if it was canon.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a little Easter egg. But yeah, I was afraid that they were gonna treat Mewtwo just like any other Pokemon. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, that's Mewtwo!" But like, no, the characters were like, "What the hell is that thing?
What the hell is even that?"
Like he's like this weird anomaly thing that nobody knows about. That because he's
a government secret.
Yeah, he's a government secret. And yeah, I thought they used him well in the movie.
Again, without spoiling it, this is the frustrating part.
Well, I mean, you can kind of figure like at the end of the movie there's this kind of like final battle kind of thing that involves Mewtwo.
They kind of briefly, to be honest, show it in the trailer. Back to the heart situation, though. There's a lot of heart to that battle. There's a lot of Ryan Reynolds has to fight Mewtwo for the right reasons in the whole situation.
Okay. Yeah. What we did mention is before, like, something happened with every buddy cop movie. The two buddy cops, they at some point they have a disagreement and then kind of like separate.
Yeah.
They're like, I'll never work with you again. Nah. And then this reminds me of the part where Pikachu gets all sad, and he's like walking home by himself, and he just starts like sadly singing the Pokemon theme song to himself.
Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny.
It would mean that either the anime is actually still an anime in this universe, or that song, the Pokemon theme song, is actually just like a top 40 like actual like hit that plays on the radio.
Some person just decided to make it up in the real universe that they're in, and they just made it a hit song somewhere.
Yeah, the humor that Ryan Reynolds brings to it is actually nice. I originally thought it might be a little bit too much,
especially pushing the Deadpool style humor that he always does.
Yeah, but it was a nice balance between that and
you can
like,
tell that
a little bit more serious kind of moments.
Like you can tell they actually gave him good material to work with. I don't recall who the script is written by, but
partly by the director Rob Letterman, who also did the Goosebumps movie, which I like that movie.
Yeah, it was a nice little movie. Surprisingly, it was just decent. It got a sequel that was
terrible.
That's
I watched it. I just watched it. It's on Netflix, and I just saw it a week ago.
That looked like a complete...
Oh boy, it was not good.
How long is Jack Black in there, by the way? Like 2 minutes? Like I heard he was just
like physically. Yeah, he was in it. We're not gonna get into this conversation. This is a Pokemon podcast. I'm not gonna explain the second Goosebumps movie to you, but this one does feel like it's a fun, lighthearted thing, kind of like Goosebumps was, where it had a lot of ideas, but somehow it still kind of worked.
It kind of meshed and
it kind of worked.
This could have easily gone in a lot of disastrous ways. I don't know. They could have just not nailed any of the tones right, because there was a lot of different tones in this movie too. There was some over the top physical humor here or there, like with the Mr. Mime. Or there was like some serious moments, like, you know, the realization of like what did happen to Tim's dad and stuff like that.
Listen, kid, I know this much. If your dad was here, he would hug you so hard, your bones would pop.
And then there's just some random over the top action scenes, and
it gets real over the top sometimes.
Really over the top. It's weird. That last 10 minutes is just like, okay, like that's. I mean, that's what makes it memorable. Is just like they weren't afraid to go in such a bizarre direction. So it's a nice balance of it's basically a good trip to a buffet. It's just a nice bit of everything. When you go to a buffet and not make yourself sick, you just kind of got a little bit of everything, and you enjoyed it, and you're good. And it's such a weird little ride of a movie that I can't wait to own it on Blu-ray. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
it's just a fun movie.
They stayed for the most part pretty true to actually what the characters look like.
Compared to another movie that recently just had a trailer that they're backpedaling right now. Actually, as of recording this, the people involved making Sonic the Hedgehog are probably taking a lot of lessons learned right now, because the movie hasn't even been released, and that's a fun little tidbit as of recording this. It had originally had a November of this year, 2019 release, and due to such outrage of how bizarre of a design choice, this very bizarre, real kind of anthropomorphic version of a hedgehog where he has real human-looking legs.
Oh, that's not right.
Something like Pokemon is the perfect representation of people that knew what they were making, people that knew what these characters should look like in a three-dimensional world. When it comes down to the people and the crew that are dedicated to a certain film, it's always nice to see that clearly those people give a shit and they want to make the best quality that they can. And the people behind Sonic, in that case, you know, I don't know who kept saying, yep, that's it, this is where we're going to go with. Those people clearly didn't have a connection to their fans to the game and to the hundreds of references they could have used. They decided to make this whatever that was.
Whatever that thing is.
But we don't know what will happen with that. It'll be released February 2020 now. I mean, we'll cover that if we can. You know, I'd like to think we are. Because there's a lot of animated Sonic property out there.
Hey, Sonic! Enjoy your future! It's gonna be great!
So yeah, I like the movie. I like Pokemon. More Pokemon, please. If they make another one, please make more. Because that was good, and I want more good things in the world. Especially if they have more cute Bulbasaurs like they had in that movie. That movie had the best Bulbasaurs I've ever seen. Because they were cute, and they made cute little noises.
Oh yeah, actually they didn't even make Bulbasaur say his name.
Didn't say Bulbasaur.
He just made little noises.
They just like squeak, squeak, squeak. I don't know. I don't know what they said, but it was like real squeaky. So that'll do it for this month's episode. If you like Pokemon, please hit us up so we can talk about more Pokemon. The website is FGApodcast.com. FGA Podcast on all of the socials. Link to the YouTube where you can listen to this. Why would you listen to this again? You just listen to it. If you want to listen to future episodes on there or past episodes or whatever, you can go to the link in the description. So we will see you in the next one. Pika, Pika, Pikachu.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.
Oh, and don't leave your garbage all lying around. It's a total dick move.